Now, I have had a tendency over the years to want to have the last word in an argument, or even in less volatile conversations as well. And I know that I'm not the only one, but I've worked on it over the years, and I do a bit better of a job with that now. Sometimes having the last word is more of a burden than letting someone else take it. And sometimes that thing that we say in that moment of having the last word, well, it just kind of falls flat. And we have common sayings and phrases that we use in life, sometimes as a final thought in difficult times, and sometimes the thought behind the saying just doesn't hold water. But it sounds kind of good. Things like, the truth will always come out in the end. Just saying those words out loud makes me want to laugh. The idea lives in the furthest point possible in the universe from the reality we actually live in. What truth? Whose truth? Who's going to tell us the truth? And if the truth comes out, who's going to believe it? We are so polarized as a people, and we see our feelings as reality, and the truth is an inconvenient irritation to those feelings. We actually have discussed this in more depth in a prior video. Check it out if you're interested. Cards and links will be provided, of course. And then there's this. Time heals all wounds. Seriously? Sure, time does heal some wounds, and it probably should heal all wounds, but it just doesn't. We hold on to mental and emotional wounds long after any associated physical wounds have healed. And most people do not allow needed healing to take place because they define themselves by the wounds that they have. In my mind, the only thing that heals all wounds is the Spirit of God within us. And that kind of healing has no respect for time at all. And finally, one last stupid saying. Nice guys finish last. Nope, not going to let this one slide. Being nice and being successful are not mutually exclusive. We can be nice and win at things in life. This saying must have come from awful people who succeeded at the expense of others. And although that can often be the case, nice guys do succeed more often than we probably realize because they don't feel the need to broadcast the win to the world. It's called being a humble winner. Anyway, truth sometimes does come out in the end. Wounds can heal with time. And yes, there are nice guys who do finish last. But universally speaking, these sayings just don't hold up. But there are phrases that I do believe hold up a lot better. And that's what we're going to get into right now. This video is part of a series on some common and maybe not so common sayings and why they often end up being true. This is a 6-part series, and you have stumbled upon the final episode. Don't worry if you've not seen any of the rest. There is no order to these videos. Anyway, I'll drop a card and a link in the description for the rest of the videos in this series right here on YouTube. For those of you who watch or listen on other services, you will be on your own to find all the other episodes yourself. So with all of these sayings that I've dragged through the mud in this series, there is obviously something that rings true in each of them, or they wouldn't exist. And obviously, with the sayings that we have been hitting in this series, they may not always ring true in every circumstance or for every person. But I truly believe that there is something we can take from these sayings to apply to our lives and our creative endeavors. Now, the phrase we're going to work through in this episode is, if they only show up when they need us, we were never really valued. So who exactly is this they the saying refers to? Well, they are probably the people we value most in life. Family, friends, colleagues, mentors, the people we want to be in our lives at a high level. And these are typically the people we also desire to be vulnerable and open with. We want to have deep connections with people, and we want to be valued through those connections. It's a basic human desire to see others and to be seen by others. People and the relationships that we have with them are the most valuable parts of our lives. So what does it mean to show up? Well, that's simple. It means to be present and to be engaged. to be there when it matters, even when it could potentially cost us something to actually be there. And the people we just mentioned, they're the ones that we want to show up for and the ones we want to show up for us, especially when there's a need. And we all have times when there is a need in our lives, times when we are hurting or in trouble, those times of financial, mental, and emotional crisis. And the expectation of those that we are close to and those that are close to us is simply to be there in those times of need. Again, to be present and engaged. And then there is value. Value when it comes to relationships is really important. Now, this refers to how we regard someone or to what level we esteem someone. Simply put, it is how we appreciate them and how much we respect them. We show how much value individuals have in our lives by how much they know that we respect and appreciate them. And unfortunately, that can be easy to fake. So let me put all of this back together in two opposing perspectives of this saying. So in a negative context, if they only show up when they need us, we were never really valued, means that if the only time someone is truly present and engages with us is when they need us, and there is no reciprocal action from them, then they do not value us, and they simply want something from us to feed their needs and desires. This can play itself out more often than I'd like to admit, but it is the broken and sinful nature of man in its most commonly seen state. Now, if we find that we have a negative relationship like this with someone who's never there for us but expects us always to be there for them, we need to take control of our part of the relationship and attempt to right the ship. There is no single solution to make that happen. And to be honest, I wouldn't want to give a solution because of the complexities of human relationships. But I do want to give a word of warning. We need to be wary of how we work through this with someone who consistently behaves like this. They may well be mentally unstable or narcissistic in nature, and people like that can be dangerous. Just be wise and walk carefully through restructuring a relationship with them. We may not have the people we want to have walk with us through the good and bad. Maybe we want that from someone who, unfortunately, treats us the way that the saying describes. Let's not hold on to hope that they will one day value us in the way that we value them. Now, they might get there one day, but it's not healthy for us to sit around taking the emotional damage from a relationship like that. Now then, finding a positive context for a saying like this is not easy, but it can be done. And it just takes a bit of reforming the thoughts to get a positive context. I have rephrased it, and I think of it this way. If we show up every time, regardless of the need, we truly value each other. I know that this is a big stretch from the original, but this is what strong, healthy relationships look like. We show up for each other in all circumstances, and we value what each other brings to the table. This final phrase in our series on common sayings and why they are true kind of frames what is most important in life, and that's relationships. First and foremost, our relationship with God through faith in the finished work of Jesus that overcomes sin and death, a relationship that gives us access to a good Father, a Father who is always there and shows up for us despite the circumstances of our lives and despite our failure to do the same. And then there are the people that God has given us to walk through this life with. And we may have a bunch of people or only a few, but I believe that God provides exactly what and who we need when we need it. I've seen that in my own life time and time again. We need to find people who we can pour into and who will pour into us. That is a key part of all good and healthy relationships. Sure, we all have a desire to be valued, appreciated, and even potentially respected. But we have to do the hard work of living lives that build the attributes in us that form good character. It's not easy, but the payoff in the end is worth it. So we all need to get out there and find relationships and community that allow us to individually and together go, create, and be a blessing. You can support our channel by subscribing, hitting that bell icon to get notified when new content comes out, and liking our videos. If you'd like to consider supporting our team financially, there's a link in the video description with more details. Those things will help our channel for sure, but if you do nothing else, please spend some time in the comments of our videos encouraging one another to create, to help others create, and to help grow that creative nature within us all. Oh, and you can check out these videos too. Thanks. We'll see you again soon.